The Red Hot Chili Peppers, Seabiscuit, and Ansel Adams are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is November 1st, 2021. It is the 305th day of the year. We got 60 days left in 2021. It's the 44th Monday in the 45th week. We are in the home stretch of 2021. It is the 41st day of fall, and we got 50 days left until winter. If today's your birthday, your birthstone is a topaz, and your zodiac sign is a Scorpio. Today is National Deep Fried Clams Day. Not a big fan of clams. Clams and oysters are just two things I avoid. I don't know what my problem is with them, but yeah, I don't like them. Deep fried clams have been on menus since the 1840s. They were served alongside mutton, liver, veal cutlets, things of that nature on the eastern seaboard. According to legend, Lawrence Henry Chubby Woodman from Essex, Massachusetts, deep fried the first breaded version of clams over 100 years ago. On July 3rd, 1916, in his little small roadside restaurant, which is now called Woodman's of Essex, it is believed that Chubby served his customers the first modern-day deep-fried clams. Can't believe there's a history on deep-fried clams. Just seems like one of those things that should have been around forever, and we lost who put it together way back when. All right, let's see what else happened on November 1st. 1894, Buffalo Bill, 15 of his Indians, and Annie Oakley were filmed by Thomas Edison in his Black Maria studio in West Orange, New Jersey. 1896, a picture showing the bare breast of a woman appears in National Geographic's magazine for the first time. I went to Catholic school back in the 1970s and early 80s, and one of the nuns, every time they got National Geographics in for the library, she had to go through them and make sure there was no breast there. I remember her doing that. I remember one of the kids going over to grab one off her desk because they'd just come in or something like that, and she's all, nope, those haven't been censored yet. Nobody can look at those. We're like, okay. I didn't understand what was going on. My cousin told me later. 1918, the Malbone street wreck. The worst rapid transit accident in U.S. history occurs under the intersection of Malbone and Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. This had at least 102 deaths. Now, I say at least because there's some reports that it was 98, some that say it was 97. I've actually seen one that said it was 115. So back in the day, 1918, they'd just been kind of building up the train system in New York City. For its time, this was quite the marvel. All over the city, they had train construction, new bridges, new tunnels. All this was going on. And then in 1918, they had a workers' strike. A young yard motorman was pressed into service on this night. Yard motorman is a guy that kind of moves trains around the yard, but he really doesn't go out on the tracks and start moving people around. He just moved trains around the yard. Well, they press him into service, and he was really inexperienced. On rush hour of November 1st, 1918, this motorman takes his train across the Brooklyn Bridge on his way to Brighton Beach. By the time he got to the Fulton Avenue elevated, there was already problems. He was having a hard time controlling the train, and these are ancient trains. Metal wheels, probably a metal floorboard, and the rest was wood. He turned off at Franklin onto what is now the Franklin Avenue shuttle tracks. As he descended into the tunnel at Malbone Street, he didn't realize that an S-turn was coming up. He was doing 40 miles an hour. The suggested speed, or the speed limit for that S-turn, is 6 miles an hour. The train went off the tracks and started banging through the tunnel. Since it was wood, this thing just fell apart. There were 650 passengers on the train. Like I said, around 100 were killed and over 250 were injured, some severely. An investigation found that the circumstances leading to the crash included a labor strike against the Brooklyn Rapid Transit Company, or BRT. The BRT had tried to keep service running with non-striking personnel, like the inexperienced yard motorman. In the aftermath of the crash, the motorman and BRT officials were placed on trial for manslaughter. Ultimately, all defendants were acquitted and all other indictments were dropped. This accident did spur on a lot of safety changes, including the BRT phasing out all wooden cars. If you just look at these pictures, it just turned into kindling. Lucky there wasn't a fire on top of it. Nobody would have got out of that tunnel. 1938, Seabiscuit defeats War Admiral in an upset victory during a match race deemed the match of the century in horse racing. If you haven't seen the movie Seabiscuit, watch that movie. I'm sure there's some, artistic license with it, but the story of Seabiscuit is very, very interesting. The jockey was too big, the horse was too small. His main jockey, who was played by Tobey Maguire in the movie, in old interviews or whatever in papers, he said the horse just didn't like being behind other horses. So if he was racing, he needed to be up front. Great story though. Seabiscuit and then the movie Secretariat, great movies. 1941, American photographer Ansel Adams takes a picture of a moonrise over the town of Hernandez, New Mexico that would become the most famous image in the history of photography. I know this picture. I've always heard it was just this great picture. I think it's okay. I don't think it's that amazing. It is definitely an Ansel Adams great work, but I don't think it's really one of the best. 1952, nuclear weapon testing in the United States. The United States successfully detonates the first thermonuclear device, codename Ivy Mike. This happens out in the middle of the Pacific at an atoll. The explosion had a yield of 10 megatons of TNT, or the equivalent. 1957, the Mackinac Bridge opens. This was the world's longest suspension bridge between anchorages at the time. It opens to traffic connecting Michigan's upper and lower peninsulas. I brought this up in a other video I did on my other channel one time, brought something up about the bridge, and I said it connected the upper and lower peninsulas, and some jackaloon sent me an email telling me it doesn't connect the upper and lower peninsulas, it connects Michigan with Canada. If you're going to go through the effort to actually send someone an email, wouldn't you think that you just kind of maybe do a little bit of research to make sure you know what you're talking about before you send anything out like that? I even emailed back, well, you don't know what you're talking about. The border is further up, the 75, and that's where there's another bridge that will connect the two of them. I was nice. He sent me back and said, "You're a complete idiot. I'm never watching your channel again." I was like, okay, dude. Everyone go there right now. The Mackinac Bridge does not connect Canada with Michigan. If you're from Michigan, you already know this, and you're probably yelling, that dude's an idiot. 1968, the Motion Picture Association of America starts its film rating system. It officially introduces the ratings of G, M for mature, R for restricted, and of course, X. 1973, the Watergate scandal. Leon Jaworski is appointed as the new Watergate special prosecutor. By the way, if you've never seen Forrest Gump, he just ties all these big... the movie is just this weird thing. It follows an idiot. If you've never seen it, Tom Hanks plays this guy that's kind of mentally deficient, and he just keeps happening into these big things that happened in our history. Watergate was one of them. It was great. 1982, Honda becomes the first Asian automobile company to produce cars in the United States with the opening of its factory in Marysville, Ohio. A Honda Accord is the first car produced there. I grew up in Torrance, California, and Honda decided to put their West Coast headquarters in Torrance, California. Well, there was all these old warehouses, and there was a skating rink where they wanted to do it, so they bought all the land, got rid of everyone. This was just a bad part of town, so the city and probably the owners of the property were happy to sell out. All but one man who owned a muffler shop. He didn't want to sell, and he didn't think they were offering him fair money, so he held out for more, and it turned into this big thing. And then the city started harassing him and just all these different things. Like, I forget the exact numbers, but let's say he wanted $1 million for the property. They offered him $750,000. It was something like this. So it goes back and forth, and he won't sell and he won't sell. He wants over $1 million. And the city does things like claims there's a sewage leak near him and shuts off the water to his business for like 5 days. Just any of these little harassment things he could do. Well, he has this guy do some research and find out all the things that they've done, including lawyers and utility workers to mess with him and all the things they've gone through. The city and Honda would have saved like $100,000 if they just would have given him his asking price. They were spending more money than he wanted just to get rid of him. In the end, they finally paid him off and he left. The muffler shop is still in business like 5 miles down the road. At least it was when I was there like 5 years ago. Movies released on November 1st, 2013, About Time. This is a very strange movie, and it's very good. I loved it. It's about a family where the men in the family can actually time travel. The women can't, the men can. And it's kind of this secret, and just, it's very, very interesting movie. And the son gets to a point where he can't go back to visit his dead dad anymore because it'll affect the life of his son. And it's just this weird thing. And they explain it beautifully. It's kind of mind warping because it's time travel and you try and wrap your head around what they're saying. Very good movie. If you ever get a chance, check it out. About Time. Born on November 1st, 1962, Anthony Kiedis. He is the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This is one of the best bands to ever come out of Los Angeles, and for a long time, in my younger days, they were kind of this little secret of Los Angeles. They were just that good. People go to the shows. They were so entertaining, and the world hadn't found out about them. And then sometime in the early 90s, the world found out about them and they blew up. The band originally started off with 3 friends, Anthony Kiedis, Flea, the bass player, and Hillel Slavic. Sadly, Hillel died in 1988 of a heroin overdose. They've had other people in the band, sometimes for many years and sometimes for a couple years, but they've always been a great band. And the only 2 members that have been there all the way, Flea and Anthony Kiedis. Died on November 1st, 2015, we lost Fred Thomas, successful Law and Order actor who went on to serve as a U.S. Senator from 1994 to 2003. Before all that happened, he graduated Vanderbilt with a law degree in 1967. He was the chairman of the Senate Committee for Governmental Affairs, and he was succeeded by Joe Lieberman. I find that kind of strange, though. Years ago, I remember him on Law and Order, and then I found out he was actually really a senator. I thought that was amazing. I don't know why. I just always thought that was interesting. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be productive, and be nice to each other.